Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance. Today's going to be part 2 of the Milwaukee self-adjusting strippers. Part number on these is 48, 22, 30, 82. I've got an original review video on these that you might want to go check out first if you're just watching this one and you haven't watched the other. And I will probably put a link to this in the first comment of that original video, because there was just several comments on that original video in the last couple, yesterday, that talked about maybe some of the things I could try with the issues that I was having with these, because you've had the Klein version or the Irwin version, and this is what you do with those. And then some features on this NM cable that I didn't even think about trying, because again, I didn't even know that these could strip the sheathing off, little on what I'm going to show you today. And I think I wanted to show you these. I wasn't going to be able to fit it in a short. I'm going to try to make this video short if possible, but I wanted to make sure and get these out to you so that if you were thinking about getting these, they are a little bit better probably than what I thought about them even yesterday, now that I see some of the things that they can do, or I'm going to try what people have suggested. So the first thing is considering this blue wire, which is that Simpull wire from Southwire. It's THHM, but it's got that extra clear coating that has all the writing on it that you can maybe pick up there. So the way these work, by pulling the insulation apart, it's grabbing that clear coating and then not getting down to that second layer, so then you have an issue with that. Well, Colin Cody 5474, he asked about tightening the tension on it, which I already had it tight yesterday or the day before, whenever I filmed it, the original video in that, but I've got it tightened down 100% all the way. I even took the pliers and grabbed a hold of it and tried to pull it as much as I could. So I've tried it every which way on this wire before I even shot the first video. But if I go in there and grab it now with that tension high, you can see it still pulls that first coating off. Let me see if I can pull it off now. It's that clear coating, still a little blue, but it's clear, has that writing on there. Then that leaves the second one, and then I can go in here now and it will strip it off, that second coating. But if I do the tight tensioning, so I do think you need to have the tension tight on this one if you're going to cut this wire. But if I do that in combination with what Cavet24 said, he said he thought I was kind of stuttering a little bit whenever I was doing it. So these, you need to just grab your wire, put it in there, and click it real fast. You don't need to come in here and grip it like I just did a second ago and then slowly kind of pull on it. You need to do it kind of fast. So I'm going to try that, and if I do that, I'm going to go real fast. I've got it in there. You can see it does do a little bit better. It got down to that second layer. I'm going to try that a couple times in a row, see what that does. I might have stuttered a little bit on that. It does seem like it does do a little bit better. I might still be stuttering a little bit for whatever reason. It's because this stupid wire over here is hanging up on me. Let me get this spun around. Now let me try that again. Got it in there, and I'm going to go fast. I think I went fast. I don't think I'm stuttering any, and it's still occasionally, see, I felt it grip different that time. There's times where, which I already had that sheathing back. See, that time it worked the first time. So I think it is something that's just, part of it might be me. But then another thing that Math 7QC mentioned was, he mentioned to take a wire like this. He said he's been using the Irwins for years. If you take and kind of get it gripped, pull your wire up to put more tension on it, and then do it, it does that. And I think it almost does that every time now. Like, I can even go slow, I can stutter, I can do whatever, and it seems like it's working fine every single time. So to me, that's the trick. It probably is a mix of, you need that tension up like what Cody mentioned. You need to also be in better control of your action that you're doing. But then overall, that Math 7QC mentioned of lifting this wire up to kind of place some, wrap it around to where it allows it to stay put, that works every single time, it seems like. So if you've got the Klein ones, if you've got the Southwire ones, or whatever version you've got of these, and you're stripping a cable that you might be having an issue with, you might want to just lift that wire up like that. Seems like it does it every single time. So appreciate those suggestions. That does make it to where that's a little bit doable now to use that wire, in my opinion. And then on the NM, or the Romex cable, several of you mentioned, Matt HMM mentioned it, that you could strip the sheathing on here, which I showed in that last video. But then on top of that, after you strip the sheathing, you should be able to strip the wires all at one time instead of doing them individually. Cavet24 also mentioned that in his comment as well, along with Stefan Kovalik. He mentioned it. He said that these are his, go-to strippers that he uses all the time. He loves them for stripping this kind of cable, which is what they use, he said, most of the time over there where he lives. And so, of course, I showed you that you can strip, the sheathing. Here's the 14-2. You can come in there and pull that off. Every now and then it will take the paper off with it, but most of the time I've been having to take this off. And again, I've still got that tension up as high as it will go. And then we're going to come in here now, and I'm going to try that trick of pulling that wire up again still. Do that, and you can see it stripped all 3 wires all at one time. So that is a little bit more of a time savings than even what I showed before. So again, that makes it to me that if you strip this kind of a cable, the fact that, again, you can go in here and do them one by one if you want to, but if I can go in there, strip the sheathing off like I did on this 14-2 here, and then also turn right back around and strip all 3 wires at one time, I think that's a big win, for these automatic strippers that I didn't even think about trying for whatever reason. So again, I'm going to come back in here, popped off all 3 of them at one time. I think that's super nice. So here's the 12-2. Also going to try it on that. Pulling that sheathing off. See, the 12-2 with the tension all the way up, since that's a thicker wire, it gets that little paper off on the 12-2 more so than it has for me on the 14-2. So then we're going to come back in on the 12-2. I'm going to pull them wires back up again a little bit. I think that is a really good trick. You can see that it pulled the stripped both of those wires at the same time as well. So super nice. Thanks for the tips on these. That does, to me, make these a lot more useful. I'm going to use them all the time, probably whenever I'm running this wire. And now it makes it an option to where maybe I've got something else in my box that's not one of those wires or whatever, a ground wire or a pigtail or something that somebody's put in. And now that I know that I need to pay attention to how I squeeze. See there, I just did it fast and smooth like Cavett asked. But then also, I'm going to always probably just pull it up like that, and that almost makes it surefire proof. And then the last good tip was, and it's something that probably most of us always do all the time anyways, is that pulling this sheathing like this allows you to make good ID tags. So you could come in here, pull this sheathing off, save these little dudes right on there, master bath or whatever, put them back on things whenever you put it in the box. Or if you're working on a panel, let's say ultimately right in here is where I want to strip the sheathing off inside that panel ultimately, I could come in here at some point before that, strip the sheathing, pull that off, right master bath on here like this, and then just strip that little tag again, and then slide that down to wherever I want, and then I don't have to try to fit it back on these wires. So again, I think these are all really good tips. I appreciate that. Again, that's the whole purpose to me of this channel, is I make a video about a tool, but the comment section always has a whole lot of good information in it. And if you haven't been reading the comment sections on my videos, you might want to start checking into that, especially before you make a decision on buying a tool, because don't just take my word for whatever I'm doing with it, because this was a new tool to me. I had just picked it up. I hadn't used it. I was just going by my intuition of how I was using things, and then within hours of making the video, lots of great suggestions out there. So appreciate that. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these along with this tool. If you haven't already mentioned anything about it, and again, if you haven't watched part 1, you might want to go back and check that out. But hope this is useful. You guys stay safe. Have a blessed day. See you on the next video.